Hello everyone. As promised, I'm making a YouTube video for our first assignment, and I have decided to do a written assignment to begin. So the written critique, if you look at your existing syllabus, counts for 20% of your grade. So I thought maybe this is a really great way to launch our online experience. So I have a few things to say about that. But before I do, I just want to say how very sorry I am that our semester was interrupted. Decided to just postpone, not cancel, the personal map. So those of you who already have done a significant amount of work on your personal map, and those of you who just embarked on beginning that assignment, that should not be regarded, excuse me, as wasted time on your behalf. So I'm putting that on hold until later in the semester, hoping to get your materials back to you for the other art projects. In the meantime, you're going to be writing your critique, and we went to the gallery on campus. So if you took pictures and liked something from that exhibition, you can use that to do your written critique. I know in class I told you that one of my criteria, the criteria actually, for selecting a work and writing about it was that you could experience so much more in person. We're in a totally different world now. People are not supposed to go to museums or gallery openings or anything like that. So I have taken away that. So if you are at home and cannot go out or feel uncomfortable going out, which is for the next 2 weeks what we're all supposed to be doing, you can go online. You can go, excuse me, online to almost any museum, including the Louvre in Paris, which if you've never done that, is very exciting. You can see the Mona Lisa, Winged Victory, and all these really famous pieces on a virtual tour there. So you may go online. My criteria is it needs to be a museum or a gallery, not like a poster shop or just, you know, some kind of quirky thing. I know I've talked to a couple of students who had a specific artist or idea that we've already discussed, so that still rings true. You can write about that artist that we talked about in class. And so I'm going to be reading you in a few minutes the handout that I was going to be giving you that I will also be posting. But basically the writing component for our class is the same as an English paper. It's 2 pages long, or just about. It should open with an introduction where you tell me the name of the artist, whether it's the Louvre in Paris or the Museum of Modern Art in New York, or whatever you have chosen for your subject. Then you should have the name of the artist, the media for their work, whether it's painting or drawing. If it's drawing, is it in charcoal or pencil? You can compare and contrast. So you could write about an exhibition or 2 artists that both work in the same media that have very different approaches to the content or intent of their work, and also how they handle the media. Some people have a very light, soft touch, and other people are very aggressive. They're all using the same thing, but the outcome of the work is very altered by the artist's hand in all of the work. So we will be doing this written assignment. The assignment is due on April 7th, okay? So you will be able to send me your papers. You can send them via the email address that you have. You can send them through Canvas. So I was talking about the introduction to your paper. The paper, again, should include name of the artist, spelled correctly, name of the museum or art gallery, the media, the scale of the work, how big or small it is, if it's on paper, canvas. We're going to stick to 2D work, so we're not really going to talk about sculpture right now because that's a little different, and we really haven't discussed that in class during critique time. So the body will exist and will speak about 2 different things in your paper. The first thing, why you like it. So you can have a lot of different reasons. There's no one right or wrong answer to why you like a work. So you want to talk about the psychological effects, how it made you feel, made you think about something, what kind of experience you had, and why you were drawn to that work. When you're writing, if you talk in your paper, excuse me, like you would talk to a friend. You know, I went to the Museum of Modern Art, and when I was on their website, I saw this work and I looked at it, and it just was so breathtaking. I felt like this is the piece that I want to write about in my paper. So something that affects you in a way that makes you feel strongly about it, that you have a compassion for, that moves you in some way, is always a good sign. Listening to your gut and then thinking about what it is you really like about that work. Excuse me. So when you're looking at the work, it'd be helpful to keep a little sketch pad or notebook or something and be writing down the things that you immediately see and feel about the work, including the introduction information that I just mentioned. The second part of it is we're trying to verbally and in written form talk about art. So you have your sheet that has design elements, principles, and devices. Those are the things that I had on the board during our critiquing class, where you were talking about your work and identifying which of those you were using in your own particular artwork and that of another student. So instead of saying the piece was really cool or it was really nice, you want to think about, what did the artist use to get you to pay attention to the work? Was it the size of the work? Was it the contrast? Maybe they had a lot of really strong black and white or red in the piece. You know, what exactly did it discuss? The idea of balance, of texture. What is it about that work that you can look at those design elements and principles and use that as dialogue and language in your work? So you want to make sure that you're thinking about the formal aspects of the work. So in the second part of your paper, the body of your paper, you will be talking about, one, the psychological and visceral concepts that the artist is discussing visually in their work, and you will also be addressing the formal issues in the work. The third part of the paper is the close. The close of the paper reiterates your idea or thesis that you open your paper with in the beginning, and kind of just brings your paper to a close, talking about, you could say something like, the work of whoever the artist is was very compelling for me. Not only did it make me think about different kinds of aspects of the earth or life or whatever it is the work made you think about, or just the sheer beauty of it, you know. I have no expectation about the dialogue or your observations or how you express that. And that is what actually makes it a great opportunity for me as an instructor to read your thoughts and ideas, because they're compelling, they're individual, and everyone has a voice and has something to say. So even though we're doing the same assignment, just like when we did the color collage, everyone is doing the same thing, but how you express yourself and the difference in your personality and your own observations are unique, and they're individual unto you. And I think a lot of times students tell me that looking at artwork and actually really thinking about it now that you're actually making artwork is a very different experience, and it's really fulfilling. And they start looking at art and they start looking around in a different kind of way. They start seeing things that they didn't maybe notice before, or become interested in looking at different artists. If you're looking at artwork and there's not a lot of information, you can Google that artist. If the artist shows at a gallery, you can see if the gallery has an artist statement, or if they put out a press release, the things that they send to, like, the LA Times to inform the person at the paper who writes about the work more detail about that artist. If you can't find something there and it's a private gallery, you can just go to Google and look up the artist's name and go to their website. Every artist that I know has multiple pictures, more work than you'd ever imagine. And they all want to make sure that if someone is looking at their work, that they really understand the intent of the artist, like why they're making the work, what it's about. And they want to talk about how it fits into the art world, or what it is that inspired them to make that work. So that can be extra information that you can use in writing your paper. You are perfectly capable and can use anything that somebody says. So if you go to a gallery website and they make a comment about the artist and you're like, wow, they put that better than I ever could have. What you want to do is you want to use quotation marks and say, as stated by the artist, or as stated by the gallery, or as stated by the museum. You can use those comments in your paper to clarify your viewpoint about the work and to use language that maybe somebody has articulated it better than you feel like you could. What you can't do is copy an entire paragraph that somebody has written, an art writer has written about the work, or that the artist has written about themselves, or something that someone else has written. But you could include, you know, a sentence or even a small paragraph and put quotations around it and just say, as stated by. And that is perfectly acceptable to use in your paper. This paper does not require footnotes. It's not that formal. Our class has a written component because it's a college transferable course, so I'm not trying to drive you crazy with another paper during the semester. But I thought that this was maybe a good point of beginning to start our new semester online, and also something that we need to do anyway, and that students seem to wait too late in the semester to do and then feel a lot of pressure because you have final exams and papers due in every other class. So I'm hoping this gives you some information and a really good beginning. So I have a paper that I've written, and it's the written critique, and this is going to be online so that if you need this as a reference point, you can use it. It basically states exactly what I'm saying to you, but it will be there if you want to print it out and have it next to you or look at it and use it as a resource. This paper, again, is due April 7. Now, I realize we're in a very different situation here. Some of you might have computers and printers at home, others of you might not. So we're taking a very soft approach in terms of that deadline. I'm giving you 2.5 weeks to write your paper, which I think is an adequate amount of time. I know that all of you have written papers before for other classes, probably are writing a lot of papers for this semester as well. So remember, this counts for 20% of your grade. So getting this paper turned in, you can check off one more thing off your checklist for assignments.